Hello and happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and we have an absolutely outstanding show for you today. Lots of topics, some small, a couple of medium-sized. Nothing major league is happening right now, but you know what? That doesn't mean we can't have fun with the conversations. Obviously, there's some Sony news in regards to Lego Horizon and a very cheeky answer as to why it's not on Xbox. They were dodging the question. The Horizon show has been canceled on Netflix. It's not because they don't believe in the product, because listen, I think it would be good. The showrunner has been accused of some egregious behavior, not sexual or anything like that, but his behavior towards the cast and the crew is not really gone over really good. So they're obviously going to, he was a part of the Umbrella Academy. He's the showrunner for that. That's in its final season when it releases, and I don't think they're going to ask him back because apparently there was a lot of bullying and retaliatory behavior. So that series has been canceled. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if the series would have done fantastic, but if you put a female lead character, and like I said, I know a lot of people think Aloy is boring. I like her. She's one of my favorite PlayStation characters. I think if you put that into film format, that it could be done right, especially the story, because I know like a lot of people like, hey, if I want to go to sleep, I just put on Horizon and they fall. I get it. I get a lot of people don't like it. I didn't care so much for the second one as much as I cared for the first one. The first one was absolutely fantastic. The second one, not so much. I don't know why. I don't know why I got out of it, but it is what it is. We also have First Descendant, I should say. I'm playing it. Pretty cool. The pricing for some of the stuff is a little questionable, which is why I'm not going to spend a freaking dime until I got at least 20 hours into it. I want to, spend some time into it. I'm an hour and change into it. I'm enjoying it. It's very Destiny-esque. I put it this way: for a free-to-play game, I'm incredibly impressed with the graphics, the cutscenes, the overall story beats seem really cool. But we have again a few other things. The Breakheart story of the day we're going to open up with in a second is about Banjo Kazooie. Devastated. A story came out of Windows Central. We will talk about that. I know people in the chat will be like, boom, I told you weren't get your banjo. Listen, if dreams exist, I can keep dreaming, damn it. So I'm going to keep dreaming. But let's welcome in everybody here. Crispy Bomb, what's going on, brother? Mr. Grill himself, how was your 4th of July?
It was good. Had some steaks, watched the whole neighborhood light up, and just it was a great time, at least where I was. Hope everybody had a great one, and we all know that maybe you're feeling a little hurt in the head this morning, but yeah, I'm good. I didn't drink too much. I had to man the grill and the smoker, so. But yeah, great to be here, and we got small topics, but I'm sure you might get a little crispy rant real quick on something.
There's quite a few topics. There's one that I got a little smoke for, and it wasn't I was being accusatory. It was simply I had put out a post. We'll get into what Hazardor Gaming had to confirm about Tokyo Game Show. PlayStation is going for the first time in 5 years, Fuzzy Belvedere. But so far, Xbox, nay. But we'll get into that. Again, Hazardor Gaming's phenomenal creator, or I wouldn't even consider him a content creator. He is a news hound on Twitter. I think if you're not following Hazardor Gaming, you're doing it wrong, especially if you like gaming news. The guy's on top of it. He's up there with the Idle Sloth. He's up there with the Klobrilles. So I would definitely give that dude a follow. His particular tweet is, in fact, in the show notes if you want to see what I'm talking about. But Fuzzy, how you feeling, brother? How was your 4th?
Oh, feeling great. 4th was more laid back, just ate in, didn't do any grilling this time around, but for the most part, just played some games and relaxed and watched some streaming TV and stuff. But glad to be here with you guys. Yeah, Banjo Kazooie. I'm pretty sure we'll get into that, but Shattered Space. Still looking forward to that. And,
That's another one. Yeah, we got a lot of time. We actually, believe it or not, have a lot of topics. We're not going to spend hours on a particular topic, but we are definitely going to break it down. Shattered Space. We got some information on that has me very excited.
yeah, it sounded like Bethesda's doing some Bethesda things, so it's always good to hear. And yeah, First Ascendant. Yeah, if you haven't tried it, give it a try. Definitely liking the looter shooter aspect of it. Still haven't unlocked anything beyond Bunny just yet, but still having fun with it. But man, glad to be here. Let's do this.
Yeah, so you know what? Let's open up with the Banjo Kazooie because I actually have that opened. And look, I get it, folks. I totally get it. It's not a topic that is going to get me more subs. And speaking of which, hold the horses, folks. Hold the horses. Now, I know that people get smoked for asking for subs, right? Like, oh my God, how dare you ask me to sub your channel that I listen to 5 days a week? God damn it, right? I get it. And maybe it doesn't matter to a lot of people in here. Hopefully it does. So I wake up this morning and we are officially 193 away from 15K. Now, we haven't been doing this only but 5 and some change. November 3rd makes our full 6 years on YouTube. I know that there are a lot of names here that are regulars. And of course, Mrs. Boom and I appreciate that you actually take the time to hang out. Hopefully you're subscribed, you're enjoying the content, you share it when you're feeling ultra generous. And listen, it's if you're new and you just find the channel, I would ask that you consider subscribing because again, we're close. We're ultra close. I had set a goal for 16K by the end of the year. I don't think we're going to get there unless something magical happens. But 15K is nothing to sneeze at, especially in YouTube. YouTube is very hard. It's very difficult to navigate. And there is a ridiculous amount of talent here on YouTube. And it would be pretty cool to hit 15K. Now, I don't think we're going to hit it like today. That would be dope, live on the air. We've done it for other people. But there's nothing majorly happening that would get that many new viewers in here. But again, if you're finding the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing. Help us continue to march towards that 15K. It is a really big deal, especially with some of the numbers that we've done. This particular June was just outstanding. We crossed 6 million views for the channel in under 6 years. We've uploaded over 1,500 videos in under 6 years. And of course, I just put out there on the socials just the other day that we had the best June in the channel's history with 221,000 views from June 1st to June 30th. Like, that is crazy. But that is all thanks to you, the people that are here now, that are watching, that are sharing, that are rewatching. So Mrs. Boom and I super appreciate the ridiculous support. But listen, I'm going to go to you first, Crispy. Again, if anyone knows Crispy Bomb, I think it's safe to say that his heart has a Gears of War cog in it. It's like stuck in there. That's who he is. Well, for me, as much as I love Gears and Halo, and I love all of, Fable and all these great things, for me, being a big nerd, I love platformers. And one of the platformers that I beat to death on the N64 were the Banjo Kazooie 1 and 2. I had a chance to meet Phil Spencer in 2019. We had a lot of we had a very lengthy conversation, some of which I will not share with anybody because it's private. One of which is, well, I had my shot to ask about a particular game, and I could have asked about anything. And he gladly and proudly answered. The only problem is that I asked about Banjo Kazooie, and he told me some of the reasons. And I get it. But it's not like it was a no. It's like they're trying to figure it out. They want the perfect team to make this game. Well, I have a story in front of me that, again, comes the way of Insider Gaming, written by Tom Henderson himself. And the lead story here, Crispy Bomb, says new Banjo Kazooie is not in development, it's claimed. Devastating. So this is what he had to say. over the last couple of years, various claims have suggested that a new Banjo Kazooie game has either been greenlit or is in active development. However, according to one reputable journalist and insider, that is simply not the case. According to Windows Central's Jez Corden, good friend of mine personally, in the latest Xbox 2+1 podcast, a new Banjo Kazooie is not in development. And this is what Jez had to say. I don't know if never, but I can tell you as of right now, categorically, there is no Banjo game in development as of this podcast on June 26th, 2024. There is no Banjo game in development right now. It's sad news. Okay, so a couple of things, Crispy. One of the rumors that I had heard, and this is widespread rumor, that the team that brought us Yooka-Laylee was apparently working on Banjo. Well, based on this story, that's not in fact the case. Now, the team that brought us Yooka-Laylee is all X-Rare developers. So, of course, who else would you want working on a Banjo Kazooie? Because, well, Yooka-Laylee is basically a spiritual successor to Banjo Kazooie. And then, of course, well, Toys for Bob. I've been saying for years that they seem to be the perfect studio. Now, they have become independent. They just signed an exclusive deal with Xbox and Microsoft. Are they working on, because we know that they're working with Xbox on a specific exclusive. I mean, I can sit here and I can guess all day long of what else that could be other than Banjo Kazooie, but I'm thinking it's Banjo Kazooie. So maybe at the time of this podcast, there wasn't one in development, but maybe there is now. Like, I'm never going to stop hoping for a Banjo Kazooie. What are your thoughts on the confirmation that there isn't one?
I feel you, Boom, because like regardless of how great E-Day hit, like I still was like, where's the Phoenix collection at? So I feel you. And it's like, like you hear all these things and then you have your, like, okay, 1 and 1 should equal 2, but I guess it doesn't. And when Jez says something, at least as of now, generally he's on point. I mean, I haven't found whether he has been completely wrong. Has he, like, put it a little bit in different context? Sure. But I mean, he's usually on point. So at the end of the day, like, and I haven't even told my girl this because she was actually getting excited when she's heard that you were like such a huge Banjo fan, because she actually loves any platformer. Toys for Bob, I mean, I don't know, like maybe they were told to do something and then they were like, no, we're not doing it. Or like maybe they're sick of Crash. Maybe they want to try something else out. Maybe that's a hope that could be there. I mean, me, like I want to conquer before a Banjo. That's me though. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm one of them people, like, I grew up playing that game. I want the squirrel with the potty mouth. Like, let's go. But, Banjo is one of those games, and Yooka-Laylee had a decent sales as well. So, and that really was a spiritual successor. My girl played the heck out of that game and she loved it. So, for the platformers like yourself, Boom, this is kind of devastating in a way, because you see like kind of just a regurgitating process. I think that's why Astrobot hit pretty well for PlayStation, because it is still like an IP that really hasn't been like messed with too much. So it platforming games, like we see the free to plays, everything's shooting down. It's like it is nice to have some more games come in, especially the Game Pass, that aren't necessarily like all within a RPG genre or a racing genre, or So I think it would be a smart move for them to at least nurture this IP in some way, and maybe that's going to take longer than we anticipated.
I mean, look, who would have thought, right, that they would do a Perfect Dark, or even Return to Fable, right? Like, I will say this, and you bring up great points. Shout out to Dan Lazaro, who drops a $2 super chat and says, no Phoenix collection was ever announced. It's a rumor. Yeah, Dan, you're not wrong, brother. It was never officially announced, but I'm here to tell you that I've actually spoken with someone that told me that the collection exists. And they're a great source. Now, it's not out now. My thought and theory is if E-Day hits in 2025, Phoenix collection is 2026 to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Gears. At least that's my hot take on it. I'm probably wrong, but that's my hot take. Thank you, Dan, for the very generous $2 super chat. Fuzzy, Platonic is a studio. I don't even know how big they are. They're not huge, but they are mostly all ex-Rare developers. I mean, right, Ukulele, they've had quite a few releases. They've done relatively well, which I think should indicate that yes, there's room for platformers. I think, and this is where I throw it out to the wind, folks. Throw it right out to the wind. The wishes and hopes and dreams of Mr. BoomStick XL. If E-Day taught us anything, and not us per se, I think if E-Day's reaction taught Microsoft anything, any lesson they should learn from this past June, it's that nostalgia, shout out to Mooch, is a hell of a drug. And the fact that you had grown men tearing up, literally tearing up, because E-Day and Gears mean so much to so many people. I'm sorry to say, I do think there is a world where Banjo, it's not going to get grown men to cry. I might cry. I'm not going to front. I may be that asshole on the internet that everyone's like puts that memes and makes fun of for years. I would probably cry. Ridiculous, but listen, it's we're all emotional. I know, again, not the biggest story, folks. Probably a lot of people are tuning out because of it. I wanted to talk about it. God damn it, I'm the showrunner. I want to talk about Banjo. Let's get your hot take on the fact that Jez, he gets it way right more than he gets it wrong. And he has sources. Is there a world where at some point they go back to the nostalgia well? I mean, Halo's getting a remaking, if you will, in Unreal Engine 5. Gears is going back to what we know and love about Gears in that corridor tight horror like esque way. Fable's coming back. Perfect Dark's coming back. Could we see eventually Banjo?
I think so. I mean, it really comes down to, I guess, the timing on their IPs. Like, I think there is going to be a point where, whether it's a collection of platformers where you have something like Crash, Banjo Kazooie, you have Spyro, you have maybe even Lucky's Tale or something like that, just all combined into like a platformers Jubilee kind of deal. I think there's something that will be in the works within probably the next generation. Maybe it misses this generation completely, but I think we see something, shortly after whatever Toys for Bob is working on, because they're also, partnered with Microsoft. So there's a chance after it being possibly a Spyro or a Crash game that maybe, just maybe, there's a chance for Banjo Kazooie shortly after that. Or they could acquire Sega and mix them with Sonic or something along those lines. But I think there is a possibility. It's just a matter now that they're finding a hard time trying to figure out where these games are going to land, that they have kind of building up between now and the beginning of the next generation in 2026. So I think there's still a chance, but it's probably not as much of a chance, for the next couple of years, because we also probably have a platformer coming from Double Fine more than likely within the next year or so. So I would say shortly after at least something from Toys for Bob and maybe Double Fine release, then maybe that's when they can go to the table and be like, all right, let's bring a Banjo Kazooie back, or maybe they bring back Conquer, or have all of them in like a free for all kind of platformer type of deal. Which at this point, the amount of IPs that they have, I think the latter would probably be the better, because that way you have fan service for each and every one of those characters that have a following, and you can't go wrong with something along those lines. Like pick and choose which character you want. They have each world might have a certain amount of levels, and then you can mix and match and go from there. I think that would be something worth them, looking into.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, there is so much. They have so much in the tank that there's no rush for it. Honestly, Xbox gamers are going to be eating well for years. I just think that, and I've said this before. And look, whether you agree or you don't, I get it. It maybe not for you. But the one thing that I think that we can say with full authority, specifically talking about Xbox, is that of the three bigs, meaning Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, the one brand that consistently has a plethora of available IP and different types of games is Xbox, right? They have shooters, they have RPGs, they have strategy games. Some of the things that they're missing on, and I've said this publicly before, is the fighting genre with Killer Instinct. That apparently is being worked on, which, hopefully we see that sooner than later. We know that the team has signed a 10-year deal with them. Iron Galaxy is the incredible developer that did seasons 2 and 3 for Killer Instinct, which were the best of the three. So I would imagine that them signing it with 10 years with them, they're going to be making Killer Instinct for the next decade, which is great. I actually hope that they acquire them at some point. But if there's one company that I have faith that will entertain, genres outside of just, shooters and first person games and RPGs, it would be Microsoft. So at some point, I would imagine. Now, real quick, I just want to address something in the chat. Whole Grain Bread says, is actually answering Dan Lazaro and says, they, I guess he means us, also believed that Fallout 3 and Oblivion remakes were being made, and that turned out not to be the case as well. Well, I'm a guy. I don't take anything literal, Whole Grain. I appreciate you being here. You're here every day. I don't think this was meant as a dig. I hope it wasn't. But just because I'm a context kind of a guy, and I'm an evidence-based podcaster, I pulled up one of the stories, and it's one of my least favorite places to get news from. That would be IGN. And this story is all the way from September 19th, 2023. And where did we get this information from? Well, Microsoft documents have leaked a number of unannounced Bethesda games, including an Oblivion remaster, the story says. The documents apparently accidentally published as part of the FTC versus Microsoft trial over the buyout of the Activision Blizzard included a chart put together in July of 2020 ahead of Microsoft's March 2021 purchase of Bethesda's parent company, ZeniMax Media. And in here, I'll just read it for you. Oblivion Remaster, an Indiana Jones game, confirmed. Doom Year Zero turned out to be the new Doom game that we saw in June. Project Kestrel and Project Platinum, which I don't know what they are. Also in this list, The Elder Scrolls 6. Oh, I don't know. That's confirmed to be, that's being worked on right now as we speak. Let's see. They have a Project Kestrel expansion, licensed IP game, which turned out to potentially be Blade. Fallout 3 Remaster, Ghostwire Tokyo sequel. Unfortunately, that was canceled. Dishonored 3 also canceled, and Doom Year Zero DLC. So obviously, I mean, we didn't make this stuff up. And and again, I'm not throwing you under the bus, dude, but I don't know if that was a dig. Everything that we talk about on this show is well researched. I want that to be clear. If you're going to come for me, that's not a problem, but I'm definitely going to back it up with a conversation. And that's exactly what I just did. Again, not throwing you under the bus, dude. And if you're going to unsub because of it, that's fine. But if you're coming for me, expect that I'm going to come back at you. And I don't make things up here for clicks, for likes, for subs. I'm an evidence-based conversation kind of a podcaster. That is fact. And I say it all the time because it's important. It's important for context and it's important for trust. And I don't say anything to get you to sub my channel, but that's bullshit. I won't do that. So again, no offense to you, but I had to respond because I don't like, I dislike, you're going to come for me. I got to come back at you, especially when there is a question as to the validity of what I'm putting out there for people to listen to. I don't shoot from the hip here, and I think you should know that. You've been here, you've been with the channel long enough to know that I don't BS for clicks, likes, or otherwise. But let's continue the show. So I mean, I agree with you, Fuzzy. I think that they do have so much that do they really need a banjo? They don't. But I think that there are a couple of areas in Xbox Game Pass that kind of have holes, and family friendly content is one of them. Now, granted, there is a lot in there from third party. I think that with the plethora of IP that they have, they can, in fact, use it to their advantage. Same thing with the fighting genre. Is Killer Instinct going to be as big as Mortal Kombat? I mean, I guess that's interpretation. Is it going to be as big as Street Fighter or Tekken? Well, the truth of the matter is, gentlemen, is fighters as a whole, they get a couple of million sales. Like even like, and Crispy could attest to this. This is Mr. Mortal Kombat himself. The last Mortal Kombat, as phenomenal as it was, didn't break sales records. Like it just didn't. So Killer Instinct, which I believe is probably going to be multi-plat, which it makes sense to do so. I'd have no problem with that. I'd like to see that game come out. I don't know if I want it to be free to play. I want people to buy the game. I'm just, there's too much free to play stuff out there. I hope that they do add something like that. Because again, they have a lot for Game Pass and they have a lot for first party, but it would be very interesting to see, where they go in regards to unearthing or, some of their older IPs. Listen, again, sorry for the distraction. Whole grain bread, I love you, brother. I appreciate you being here. I don't want you to think that I was being an a-hole, but again, I saw the comment and I read them all. I don't respond to most of them, but again, it sounded pointed and I wanted to at least back up what I was talking about. So I will end it like that. But listen, I want to get into the DLC. And I'll start first with you, Fuzzy. You, if anyone can talk about Starfield, it's definitely you. The new DLC looks like it's going to be something special. Now, we've heard a lot of things about it. It's coming this year. That's been confirmed. If I'm a guessing kind of a guy, I would think that the 1 year anniversary makes sense. But the one thing that I noticed with a lot of people who liked Starfield but didn't love Starfield was because it was very, very open game. Lots of places that you had to go to. A lot of planet jumping. To be honest with you, one of the complaints I did see, and I think you guys can agree, and the chat can agree, is the fact that it might have been overwhelming for people. I mean, it's an RPG. You are going here, there, and everywhere. There are a lot of systems. There are a lot of customization there. And now with the mods, forget about it. I'm overwhelmed with it myself.
Yeah.
Shattered Space. Now, again, I pulled a tweet from Klobrille, who I absolutely adore. Another fantastic community member that consistently puts out not only great artwork that he creates, with his graphs and his graphics, but he puts out phenomenal information. Klobrille literally put out a tweet just the other day where it said, the bulk of Starfield Shattered Space has a more focused approach, taking place on one planet and one city, allowing a Bethesda Game Studios to deliver a more traditional experience coming 2024. I like this idea because, again, I put 5 days and I'm a rookie. You look at some of the people like yourself, 30 days, 40 days. There are people that put 50 freaking days into this game. God bless you that you can do that much. I have 23 days in Halo, and I see where the allure for a brand, that's for me, like I'm a Halo guy. But Like I have 5 days. I'm almost in shame. Put the bag of shame on my head. 5 days on, and then shame on you, right? But Fuzzy, this is sounding even more interesting to me because it is one planet. I don't know how you're going to get stuck on the planet where there's no traveling, and maybe there is. Maybe there is some traveling, but based on what Klobrille is saying, it's going to be a tight narrative experience. Is that something that you're looking for?
It would be a nice addition to the way the story is laid out. Like I think the big thing is, since this is going to be House of Arun, I think, or at least centered around that, I think it would be a nice way to give more of a background, more lore to that whole, like it's just, I guess you could say, faction. But having it on one planet, focus around one city, I think that's fine. Probably looking at like 10 to 20 hours worth of content just in that one space. And even if you can't leave the planet until you complete the DLC, although I don't know if they'll quite make it like that. I think you'll probably still be able to go somewhere, but to finish up like whatever loose ends are on that planet, I think you're going to probably want to stay to see it through, because depending on which characters you have as companions, this could give more to what's her name? Not Andrea, but one of the characters' main story quests and things like that.
Yes, the one that's a murderer but doesn't like when you kill people. Andrea, I believe it is.
Well, she's fine when you kill people as long as they're not certain people or like of certain backgrounds and things like that. But it's I think having Bethesda do this more focus aspect on the planet, I think will be more in tradition of what people seen with Fallout and even Elder Scrolls and things, where they have a more handcrafted area that they're focused on. The story, the NPCs, the environments and things along those lines will be more tailored to that story. So I think for those that like the more traditional Bethesda RPG aspect, this will probably be a bigger calling for them in this particular regard. But I was fine with jumping from here to there and everywhere, just for the fact that you can actually do that and like leave something on a planet, go somewhere and then come back and it still be on that planet, knowing that the creation engine still allows for having, persistence in the universe, no matter how far you travel, was an amazing thing. So I think with having this be more centered around just that one planet, I think this will allow people to, build a new storyline. Well, not necessarily a new storyline, but like a storyline in that area, and then either be a murderer of all those people in that area, or wind up having it where they become part of that faction. And I think that was one of the things where the only thing that was missing to me before was that you couldn't become part of that faction in comparison to all the other factions in the game and stuff like that. But I'm fine with just having it centered in one particular area. But if we get I guess land transport or rolling vehicles and things like that at the same time, I think that'll probably do away with a lot of people's, I guess, questions or concerns not being able to leave that planet, if that's the case, type of thing. But definitely looking forward to this. Like I said, I've tried pretty much storylines through each faction, and then which ones work well together and which ones don't, and which ones kind of break the game to some extent. Joining certain ones where, the storyline changes completely if you're part of, like, let's say Crimson Guard versus I guess it was the UC, which is like the world police and military kind of thing, or even the marshals for that matter. It just gives you a whole different outlook or outcome no matter where you land, type of deal. So I'm looking forward to this no matter what. But if it's at the 1 year anniversary, so be it. But the mods that they have today, like, there's people out there that have turned it into Star Wars. There is a Tamaro planet. So if you want, the Elder Scrolls to have its own planet, that's out there right now. I don't know if anybody's created a Fallout planet, which I'm pretty sure is probably not too far behind. But the way this game is, I said it before early on, even before the the public mod thing was available, or the official mod thing was available, that this is going to be a more than a 10-year game. Like 10 years from now, people will be playing this game, and it may look quite a bit different than it does now. But Yeah, I'm looking forward to this DLC, this and subsequent DLCs afterwards, because Todd said that we'll probably have that they'll be focusing on doing continuous content for this game. So if we get a new DLC every year or every other year or whatever the case may be, yeah, I'm all for it.
I mean, look, they've already talked about a year 2 what they're working on, right? So there's going to be something next year. Is it going to be as big or bigger than a Shattered Space? Potentially. But I will say this. Having Crispy, having procedurally generated content, which is what basically Starfield is on planets, where each planet you land on, it's going to be a different set of bases and things for you to go. I think that we might be in for a treat here, especially if you want like super handcrafted stuff. We might get that here, because if it's one planet, it's going to be a pointed story. That pointed story is going to be what, well, Bethesda's really known for, right? Like, obviously, when you play Fallout, it's a big map. There's a lot of places to go, but you're not leaving the planet like you would on Starfield. So they put everything, including the kitchen sink, on this planet. Characters, NPCs, lots of hidden stuff for you to find, some stuff that you might miss. And that's one thing that we can say honestly about Starfield. If you go looking for stuff, man, there is a lot to find in Starfield. I know there's a lot of people in here. I got to give a shout out. Who was it that said they had put 12 days? Clara Borger, 12 days into Starfield. And you know what's crazy? I've seen double that with some people. And it's just, and you know what? Real quick, let me just stop. I want us to say a shout out to Whole Grain Bread. Again, I wasn't attacking you, dude. Please, folks, don't treat people with disrespect because we have a difference of opinions. He just dropped a $5 super chat. You didn't have to do that, brother. All you had to do is write a message, because we don't do this for money. He says, it wasn't a dig. I was just saying I don't take everything at 100% face value. That was the only point I was trying to make. And you know what, brother? Apologies to you. Because I wasn't trying to be a jerk or a D, but it did sound like it was pointed. When you say they, I mean, the message is coming from me, so that it seems as if you're talking about me. You should have been more clear. Like, hey, insiders, F them. But again, no harm, no foul, please, folks. Whole Grain Bread is a valued member of the community. And I got to be honest with you. There's no reason to go after people if they have different opinions. It's okay. It's okay to have difference of opinions. I appreciate, people backing me up. But again, if you know me, and I think that if you have been following me for long enough, when I do the research, I don't talk out of my ass, because that is a disservice to you, the listener. And I'm not going to disrespect your time by throwing rubbish out to the wall or throwing stuff to stick to the wall just because it's going to get me some new subs or clicks or likes. We don't play that game here. We're doing it the mom and pop way. We're getting like 90 subs a month, 110 subs a month, which is, it's great, but it's not, we're not going for gustos, and we will never be that. We're going to do it the mom and pop and do the hard groundwork. But again, I just wanted to make that clear. No bullying here, please. And Whole Grain Bread is a valued member of the community. It's just that sometimes, look, whether you guys and gals know it or not, and I've said this before, and I'm not trying to get any extra subs, but you should feel sorry for me. I work on this channel 7 days a week. That is a lot of work. That's 7 days a week that I work on this channel because I respect you and I put a lot of effort into it. And when I say something, if I get it wrong, I'm the first dude to get out there and be like, hey, folks, yep, I got it wrong. Shame on me. I listened to X, Y, and Z. But again, I appreciate the generosity, brother. I appreciate you being a part of the show as you are almost every day. And again, apologies if you thought I was attacking you. That was not, in fact, it. I just wanted to make it clear that that was not made up. That was literally story after story after story. And I literally just read the document verbatim. So again, thank you for being here, brother. Crispy, let's continue, and after I would get your hot take on what we're doing here. And again, apologies for kind of throwing it off course. I don't like doing that because now the podcast seems a bit out of whack. But I got to defend myself, folks. I got to defend myself. It's when I feel like you're being extra pointed, and he says that he wasn't, and I believe you. I can't just not say anything because then I'm a sucker, and I know how hard I work for this for the channel and for you guys and gals. And again, I'm not playing the violin harp, and I don't want an extra sympathy, but I there's just a lot of nastiness on the internet, and sometimes even people like me who just loves everyone, it hits you in a spot that hurts, and I got to talk about it. Crispy, again, apologies for throwing us off course. Let's get your hot take on the new DLC and the new information that we have the way of Klobrille on Twitter.
I mean, I think for me to really get into Starfield, I need something like this to at least look forward to, maybe just push to that point. I at this point, after going back into Fallout, after the Fallout TV show and everything else, I'm still overwhelmed with that game because there's so many elements that are involved, building your bases, making sure that, everybody's all good and all these other things that take you off the story. And I feel like maybe, some feedback because, Bethesda's pretty good at saying, hey, maybe we need something here that, really hits the way a little bit old school in a way, you know what I mean? And to have it be a single planet and, that base, whatever, that's probably going to be like the end all or the beginning or whatever it may be, that floats above that planet. It's going to be interesting, and I need like some intrigue that's kind of a little bit more linear. Like that's where like when, Obsidian's like Avowed is not this crazy all over the place. Like I work so much. Like this is my first day off in like, since weeks. Last week, you know what I mean? Like, and if I do have a day off, I got something else going on. I gotta, like at 1 o'clock, I got somebody looking at my gutters, you know what I mean? So it doesn't stop for
real
me,
life
you know
stuff,
what I mean?
Brother.
So I'm just saying, like, for me, these games, I used to like be like the 12 days, but now I'm like, okay, like I have almost 70 days in Gears 5, but that's because I can pick it up, jump in, play the game, play multiplayer, and then move on if I got something else going on. You know what I mean? So, and it's not like I'm missing anything. And for the people that love Starfield, I'm not taking anything away. I'm just saying, like, I get overwhelmed. And when I started playing the game, and I'm just like, okay, I want to go see what Earth looks like. And then I'm like, okay, but there's nothing here. So now I'm not like getting any progression. I'm moving like a snail. So I think the vehicles thing would be a big impactful thing for me, to be honest with you. But at the same time, there's going to be all these different mods and all this different stuff for the vehicles. And we're sitting there building the vehicle for 2 hours. And I'm a completion type person like that. Like I want the best. Like Fallout 4 right now, I am trying to get the XO2 suit and do like all the right things. And I'm even looking up YouTube videos because I don't know the exact way to go about it. There's only one XO2 suit in the entire. The XO1 is in a couple places. XO2 is in one particular mission. And if you don't do the mission, if you just go there, you don't get access to it. So now I have to go back and do the mission. So that's the type of person I am. And then I'm going to like deck that thing out, or I'm going to take it apart and put it apart a one that I think is better, that I've, molded. Like there are so many elements in Bethesda's games that when I see that I go to all these different planets and then like I can have a different experience than the other person and all these other things, it makes me want to explore more. But then what happens? I get overwhelmed and I say, you know what? I'm just going to go back and play Gears. And I think if they give some kind of linear aspect that says, hey, like this is amazing, like it really like go into this, or however they're going to go about it. Maybe we just play the DLC. That would be even better for me. I'd be good with that. Like, hey, give me a substandard level, You know what I mean? And let me start there. I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't know how they're going to go about that, because that's an interesting concept. But the point is that yes, some of us like that have real world problems get overwhelmed, and this at least seems like they're kind of be like, you know, like, hey, DLCs aren't going to be like another solar system or something. You know what I mean? It's going to be, you know, very pointed, a part of the story, because, you know, like, like, kind of funny. Like Greg is a Bethesda stan, man, and he was like,
Yeah, he is
so excited for this, and I just watched him like he just lit up like a Christmas tree, and I'm just like, see, that's how I feel about Gears, so I have to agree with him. You know what I mean? Like, I have to say, okay, like now he's like, all right, I'm getting right into this. You know what I mean? So, you know, for those people that's all they want to do, like, you want to play that single player, you want to have this exploration, like Bethesda provides you with that. And I love that we're not even talking about all the hate of, oh, you can't fly out of the planet. Like, yeah, we got enough to do, bro. Like, we don't want to navigate trying to fly out of the atmosphere. I'm sorry. So, you know, and now we're at the point where it's like, okay, you're going to go a little more simplistic. Yeah, that's actually a good thing, especially in my eyes.
Look, as much as I absolutely love Starfield, it's probably my favorite Bethesda title of all time. Like that, like, honestly, it's out of all the things that they've done, and they've done quite a bit over the course of decades in the industry. I love Starfield because it's space, and you know, it gives you that Star Trek, Star Wars-esque kind of feeling when you're playing the game. My problem is when I say I got only 5 days, and I really do mean, like, that's shameful as much as I love this game. The problem is, like, producing 5 shows a week, doing the background stuff that needs to get done, like the advertising and the freaking graphics, and getting the panel together, and the topics. I also take care of a household because Mrs. Boom is working. So I take care of most of the work because, well, she's still working, and it's not fair for her to have to come home and do any housework. So I take care of all of that. I work out 4 days a week. Somewhere in between all of that ridiculousness, that real life ridiculousness, I actually like to freaking play games. And there are games like you, literally to the T, Crispy, Halo Infinite, 23 days, because I can pick it up, I can jump in with a bunch of randos and just wreck shit left, right, and center, which is what I enjoy doing. And then when I have to go do something, I stop. Starfield is so big and it's so massive that there's a reason why I've only had, what do I got? Like 2 hours into New Game Plus. That's about it, because in my mind, I'm like, there's so much to do. Like, my God, it's just so this new DLC for someone like me with the limited time, right? I have limited space and time in my life. I like it. One planet, one city, lots of missions. I'm sure it's going to look amazing because they no more, procedural generated stuff. It's going to be, they're building it for this DLC. It's going to be what it's going to be, and I can actually play it and freaking enjoy it. Like I said, for me, the reason why I haven't done like 19 New Game Plus is because it took me 5 days of play where I felt satisfied enough where I've gotten my fill of Starfield to go play. And, well, that's why I got 5 days. Now, there are people that go, I got 12 days, 24 days. I've seen people that had 50 days. And, Nico, I don't know if he's in the chat, another phenomenal Twitter member. Follow that dude for sure. That guy has weeks in that game, and he's always posting like amazing pictures. Like, where did you find that? I wish I had the time. Honestly, if this was before YouTube, I'd probably have 40 days in this game. There's just not enough time. So I'm very excited for this DLC because it's going to be very tight, and it's going to tell a great Bethesda story. It's going to be great. It's going to be greatly designed, which we know that what they can do. I'm super stoked for this. But look, I want to move on. We have, again, a lot of smaller topics today because there's not a lot of big news. But the one I want to get into, and I'm going to go right back to Crispy on this one, is okay. So look, Horizon Zero Dawn or Horizon Lego was announced. I think it looks freaking cool. I can't say for everybody because again, I'm a big old nerd. I love platformers. I love the Lego games. I like family stuff. I grew up on it. It's still celebrated, which is why I'm so excited for Astrobot. I know people are like, yeah, boo, whatever. PS5 sucks. I get all of that, but I'm there day one. That game looks phenomenal, and some of the new information that they put out on it just looks really good. So Lego Horizon is announced, and that's done at Summer Games Fest, which is shocking, but it was there. I was ass in seats. I was there when it was announced. The shocking part of it was that it was announced for Switch, which I honestly believe, but I'm here to tell you, and if I'm wrong, I will stand in front of the class and say so. It's going to sell better on the Switch than on the PS5. Crispy, I'm telling you right now, it's going to. But the big question is, why wasn't this on Xbox as well? Like, do you like money, Sony? Do you like to make money? Because I guarantee you, I would have bought it. I'm not buying it on PS5. I'm probably going to buy it on the Switch. Because, like I said, I own, like, between multiple platforms, every Lego game that's just about ever released. I love them. Do I beat all of them? No, they are long. But I buy all the deluxe editions. I get all the DLC. I run around. There's all the different characters. I freaking love it. So I'm buying this for sure. But I would have definitely really enjoyed playing it on the Series X, because that's where I like to play games. So Stephen Totilo, if you didn't know who he is I'd say Stephen's a prominent member of the community. He's a journalist. He's had numerous publications that he is, his startups that he's done. But I don't have his article because it's behind a paywall. So I did wind up finding the article that was written by Windows Central. And another journalist that I like a lot, Samuel Tolbert, is the one that wrote this. This was posted just the other day. And the title is PlayStation Response on Why It's Bringing Lego Horizon Adventures to Nintendo Switch but not Xbox. So it goes on to say this. Now, okay, what I love about Windows Central, and I've said this before, is before you start to read the article, they have a what you need to know section. I love that because it really does kind of lay out what you're going to be reading and what we're specifically going to be talking about, Crispy. So this is what it has to say about what you need to know. Lego Horizon Adventures is an upcoming Lego version of PlayStation and Guerrilla Games' Horizon franchise. Co-developed by Guerrilla Games and Studio Gobo, Lego Horizon Adventures features classic Lego humor and shenanigans with brick-based recreation of machines like the Tallneck and the Thunderjaw. Lego Horizon Adventure is launching later in 2024 on PlayStation 5, Windows PC, and Nintendo Switch, but not Xbox consoles or PlayStation 4. Speaking with Stephen Totilo for GameFile, and that's the name of his website, the developers stated that they don't really have anything to announce about Xbox right now, which basically tells me, Crispy, yeah, we're not announcing it today because we don't want to get the smoke from our fans. We'll announce it next year. That's exactly what I'm taking on it. But let me just read the two paragraphs here. It says, speaking with Totilo for his one-man newsletter, GameFile, where he also talks about the making of upcoming PlayStation 5 titles like Astrobot, Guerrilla Games narrative director James Windler noted that the game was meant to push the PlayStation 5 hardware and look as amazing as it possibly could on the console. I really hate when they say that because all I think back is to Ratchet and Clank and, the SSD and you need it. And they should know not to talk like that. It's a Lego game. It's going to look freaking good on the PS5. I think it would look great on the PS4, but whatever. But this is where it gets a little pointed. When asked by Totilo about why it's coming to Nintendo Switch, Windler explained that the decision that helped the team go after the Nintendo Switch was that it has a family-friendly audience and a younger audience that would otherwise have not been possible on other platforms. Upon being asked about Xbox, however, Crispy says Windler simply says, we don't really have anything to announce about Xbox right now, which basically tells me that's coming. And so is a Spider-Man. I'm a die on this hill here. Spider-Man 2018, 2025 Xbox. I'm probably wrong as all hell, but I will take the L because I believe that Sony likes money. But I want to keep it Lego. Let's talk about the PS5 needing. I mean, look, the statement doesn't make any sense, and this is where I kind of give them some smoke. Like, you're releasing it on the PS5 because you want it to look great, but it's also releasing on the Switch. How does that even make sense? I mean, you could run a Switch on a calculator, for crying out loud. That's how old that tech is. Let's get your hot take, man.
That was great because, I mean, like, seriously, I mean, you want to talk about a potato. You can't call the Series S a potato when it comes to the Switch. I'm sorry, dude. Like,
and I play the Switch every day, 7 days a week.
It's an audience. I mean, there's an audience there, and the one thing they go for is games that look like the Horizon, the Lego. So, I mean, it makes total sense. I think it's almost a justification for Sony to make this game, and I mean, let's be honest, Gorilla, when it comes to Horizon, I mean, VR, all these other games that are involved, did I laugh at a lot of it? Because I was like, this is poking fun at themselves, which is pretty funny. So I thought it looked good for what it is. Could it run on a PS4? Yeah.
If it's gonna run on a Switch, brother, it can run on a PS4.
Well, why are they locking this one behind? It's not like they were like throwing the SSD and all this other stuff out there. It's like, no, we're gonna release it on Switch, and it's like, okay, but why is it on PS4? And then the Xbox thing, who knows? Maybe it shows up on Game Pass. Wouldn't that be funny? That's the way I'm thinking.
I mean, MLB The Show is on Game Pass, brother. So
I'm really thinking that he said that because Xbox is going to announce it. Because if it's not on the Sony stage and Xbox does it, they'll it'll be like kind of like nobody's looking at it. Like quite like they would if it was a state of play. You know what I'm saying? Like state of play is not going to be, hey, it's coming to Xbox Game Pass. It's going to be, like. Maybe you're lucky and it says, end of the year, or like maybe they're like dev directed and they're like, oh yeah, we have this one studio that's bringing this to Game Pass. You know what I mean? Like you don't know, but I feel like it's kind of what Xbox said about, what is it? Wukong or whatever the heck it's called. Like, hey,
Black Myth Wukong.
Yes. Yeah. So, they're like, we're not going to speak for our partners. That's kind of the speak that I just saw from this. So,
yes, me too. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, if Xbox threw them a little bag and said, hey, like, yeah, we don't care if it goes on Switch. We don't care what you do with it. Just bring it on Game Pass. They're not going to say anything, regardless of what you think. I mean, it sounds a little petty at times, but I mean, in realism, if you got, some money from a company and you're going to do it anyway, why not let them do it when they want to? And I think that comes down to like the crazy amount of games we're about to get in the next, like, I would say 2 years, right before like some of these games are going to get ported immediately over to whatever Xbox brings out in 2026 for a console. Because I feel like after watching the showcase that what they did with the consoles, and they upgraded them slightly in like, memory storage and all these other things, like they're ready to like push out like something new like every couple of years and kind of be like, a cell phone provider for gaming, you know what I mean? And just, you know, like as times change, they're gonna like, hey, like you want like a high fidelity, you know, handheld. Like I think that would be a smart play as like one of the consoles, and then have the powerhouse again, you know, like and maybe the powerhouse, maybe the handheld is equal to like a Series S or Series X in between there somewhere, and then you know like it's Series X on steroids for like the one that might cost more, because I think we're at the point where I don't feel consoles are going to go down as much as we're used to when we were growing up. So we got to accept that. It's kind of like, you know, this new iteration, like the cell phone. It's like, dude, like I bought the new iPhone and it's basically the same damn thing. But yeah, the screen looks a little better. The camera looks a little better. It's not that big of a deal to justify paying the same price. You know what I'm saying? So, and people have accepted it. So you're going to go with the trends, right? And I feel like that might be what PlayStation's thinking. Maybe that PS5 Pro is real. But what do you have right now? And that's where gaming is fickle. You know what I mean? That's why people are more and more going to PC. But at the same time, the ease of use on a console is what I go for. So like there's still people like us out there like, hey, like I don't want to deal with all the drivers and all this other stuff that may or may not need to be downloaded. How long is the update going to be on PC? Because my console, I mean, most updates take maybe 30 minutes. And I mean, yes, I have like, you know, fiber optic and all that stuff, but I'm just saying like there's an ease of use element. And that's where I say like people are like Xbox is going away. I say no. I don't think, you know, like I know I love King, but like I don't think PlayStation itself is going to go away anytime soon. I think they're going to like downsize it a little bit, you know, go really for like being somewhat multi-plat into PC. And then you might see some games that you wouldn't expect on Xbox. It's going to happen at some point because their stock is not doing good. They have to pivot. They have to do something different. And clearly the games as a service games aren't hitting their player base like it would on Xbox. So you never know where these games might go at this point. It might be a year exclusivity or some BS. But if you like your ecosystem you're on, if that's your jam, if you're good with that, I think, you know, they're going to sell consoles no matter what. And that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, PlayStation, that's what they do. That's what they're good at. They sell consoles. They have in recent years been very good with their advertising. Not so much recently, and they don't have a lot to show right now. And that's right now. Listen, they might be down. They're not out. I don't think PlayStation is going away. I think we will see some first-party stuff next year. What that is, hopefully it's Ghost of Tsushima. And I know Fuzz is looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to it. I platinum that game. That game is phenomenal. Jin is an amazing character. The world is gorgeous. Just give me what you gave me, bigger and better, and tell me a different story. I'm in. But Fuzzy, before I bring you in on this Lego Horizon topic, I want to catch up on Super Chats. And of course, we'll get right back to it. Will Broke Boy Lewis, who apparently is not broke because this is now the 10th time he has gifted 5 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. Bro, I don't even know what to say other than that jacket's going to look real sharp on you, brother. I got the same jacket. I got the same patches as you. Congratulations on getting that because that thing is sold out everywhere. So shout out to you, Dan, to Will. Thank you so much for the crazy generosity as always. Jacob Novick drops a couple of super chats, and Jacob's a great friend of the program. His first one of $5. He says Rare doesn't want to do old IPs. Plus, rumor has it that a Banjo is being made, but they don't know the direction of it, which counts as pre-development. I mean, yeah, I know for a fact that Rare doesn't want to do it. I think we all know. They don't want to do old IPs. That's just Rare wants to do new stuff. They're working on CFDs. They're working on Everwild, whatever that turns out to be. That's fine. There are other studios that can do it. It is, again, based on what I have heard, in very pre-production. Look, I'll be honest with you. Here is my extreme hot take for Banjo. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think that we are currently in a world where remakes, honest to goodness, you care about the IP remakes. Resident Evil 2 is a perfect example of that. Final Fantasy VII Remake is another fantastic, like a pointed choice, because I understand they split it into multiple games. I get all of that, but if you never played Final Fantasy Remake, you probably should. It is incredibly done. So if you take that ideology and you say, okay, we have the groundwork for Banjo Kazooie 1. It's there. We just need to make this a modern day platform. Well, the bones are there. Build off of the bones. Give us what they did with Resident Evil 2, and you have a winner. Now, it's not going to be as big as Resident Evil 2. It's not going to have as much as a budget. I think this could be a small budgeted game. You just need a talented team to deliver that kind of quality. And I think that Toys for Bob is one of them. I think Playtonic is another. And I think that we could see a smaller budgeted Banjo-Kazooie remake not having to reinvent the wheel. Jacob drops another additional, actually two more, $2 super chats. The first one, he says, Microsoft has also sometimes silent people after the rumor. Yeah, I mean, it's true that, I mean, that's could be what it is. They go out and say, hey, listen, you know, you broke this rumor, get out there and could you do us a favor and put the kibosh on it? That happens more than you could possibly imagine. So that's a great point, Jacob. Sith Lord drops a very generous $2 super chat, and that's why he's my brother. He says, boom, I would cry too if Banjo was revealed. Listen, I'm not gonna lie, I'd cry like a baby. I really would. I'd embarrass the shit out of myself. You know, it's fine. I'm 53. You can laugh at me all you want. It's fine. So Jacob Novi drops an additional $2 super chat and says, I don't trust insiders even if they're credible. I mean, listen, I hear you. This year has not been the greatest year for insiders. There's been a lot of wrongdoing. It's been a lot of conversation that just was, you know, I've said this before. I think we're all a part of it. I don't give full validity to anybody, even Jez. Jez gets it wrong, but he gets it right way more than he gets it wrong. So when Jez speaks on something, rest assured, I believe him. I honestly believe. But like Tom Henderson gets it wrong. Tom Warren's gotten it wrong. We've seen a lot of people. I've gotten it wrong. I can give you a half a dozen times that I've gotten it wrong. And that's the nature of the beast. The way that you handle it is you get out in front of it. You're like, yep, I effed up. Shame on me. That's what real men do. But I hear you. I hear you. We also have Iman Burns, who's been a channel member for a whopping 25 months. And he goes on to say, I'm back from my holiday boom, ready for all of that Sony salt. Yeah, baby. How's it going, boys? Yeah, I mean, this is a little salt. You know, I just think it's silly. I just do. I mean, if you're releasing on Nintendo Switch, don't tell me you put it out on the PS5 because you're looking for you know, high quality graphics. Because then why release it on the Switch? It makes no sense. It's fine. Torino Johnson drops a very generous $5 super chat, and Torino goes on to say, well, boom, I broke 100 days, 23 hours, and 52 minutes on Starfield. 100 days. Holy shit. Give this guy, this gentleman a title belt that says world champion of Starfield. That to me is just, you know what? When you love a game, you just love a game. Nothing wrong with that, dude. 100 days. Wow, that's awesome. He's level 243, almost all skills maxed out. Mods are crazy. That's just crazy, brother. You know what? Champion of Starfield right there. And I know you're super stoked for the DLC. Will Broke Boy Lewis drops an additional very generous $5 super chat. He goes on to say, did you see the videos of Colin Moriarty saying that that this may be the best half year of PlayStation game history, even though they didn't have any first party game? Look, I used to be a big supporter of Colin. When he and Greg were at IGN, I was a supporter then. When they went out to do Kind of Funny, I was a financial backer then. When they split, I supported both Kind of Funny, which I still do, and his Patreon as well. I did. For me, Colin has fallen off a cliff with his behavior. I don't like how he uses console war rhetoric. He's become very hypocritical with his comments, and I can't hang with that. So what you're saying, Will, is not surprising, because he'll say one thing on a Tuesday and he'll have his yes men that are a part of his show go like this, because that's all that they basically do is agree with him, and then say something the following Tuesday that's the opposite. So I mean, it's not surprising at all. We also have another $5 super chat from Will. Thank you, Will, again for the generosity. He says, but a few years ago, he talked about Xbox saying Starfield, Ghostwire, Deathloop, all those games should count for Xbox because they're not their games. He does a lot of double talk, which is why I stopped supporting. I don't watch his podcast. I haven't watched his show in years, and I just won't watch it now because that's not the kind of support I want to give. But thank you, Will, for the support. Buzz, let's get your hot take on this ridiculousness. Again, the story comes the way of Windows Central. It was written by Samuel Tolbert, great journalist, in my opinion. Again, the some of the talking points are silly, where, you know, obviously the story that Stephen Totilo of GameFile was doing included some conversation about Astrobot, which is coming out later this year as well. But I want to kind of focus on this because the spokesperson for PlayStation talks about, you know, them wanting the best place and the best graphics, PlayStation 5. That's why this is happening, but it's on the Switch, not on Xbox. What are your thoughts? The ridiculousness.
Well, the funny thing is the Sony representative is probably trying to save face so that way, you know, they don't upset their fans. But their fans have already rejected this game as being a PlayStation game kind of thing. And the fact that, you know, when people were asked, oh, is it a, you know, Horizon game? And they're like, well, no, Guerrilla was coerced to do this. And it's like,
they were forced at gunpoint, make this game or else.
And then they came out and said, no, they've wanted to do something along this lines, and that they wanted to put it on the Switch. So the reason why they're putting it on the Switch is because they want it to sell. It's probably, like you said earlier, it's probably not going to sell as well on the PS5. Yeah, there'll be some PS5 owners that buy it, the same ones that probably have Zero Dawn, the, you know, up-res. Wait, did they do the remaster for Zero? No, they haven't done that yet. But the same ones that will buy the Zero Dawn remaster and then have Forbidden West and the DLC and everything will probably pick this up on their PS5. Everybody else and their grandma will probably pick it up on the Switch. Would it make sense to put it on Xbox? At this point, if you're going to put it on Switch, why not? But it also bears the question of why didn't they put it on the PS4? PS4 is more powerful than the Switch, and at least 50% of your player base is still on a PS4. So this feels like a half step, and unless there was some small print somewhere saying PS4 coming later or whatever. But yeah, this just feels weird. I know Hiroki Totoki likes money. He was the big proponent of them, bad mouthing the studios on not how they don't know business or how to make money. They make great games, but they don't know how to make money. This feels like a backward step, because if that's the case, PS4 would have made perfect sense, because you've already had to do a Switch port. So there's 50% of your player base. So PS5 players don't seem to buy this type of game. I could be wrong, but we'll see. And Switch players will probably, it'll be something like a ridiculous 8 million copies or something sold on the Switch, just for the fact that it's a Lego game kind of thing. But will it come to Xbox? It's a possibility. I think they're so scared to make this next move as far as putting things on Xbox.
Yeah.
Although it's if the whole GeForce Now and Steam thing keeps on going the way it is, eventually at some point you will be able to play Spider-Man via those cloud services on your Xbox. Although right now I think they put some sort of blockage on it, but at some point they're going to look at this and be like, it's silly to put a block on it. It's just preventing us from making more money. Although on those, they've already made their money on those games sold on Steam and stuff like that. But, there's Helldivers 2, which is still losing players. They're at some point, they have to realize that more Xbox players play MLB than PlayStation players do right now. So I think if they want to keep on bringing in revenue on games that may have already, I wouldn't say expired, but reached their peak on the PlayStation, whether it be on the PS4 or PS5, I think it's time to look at other platforms beyond just PC and beyond just, the Switch, which I guess if they're not going to go Xbox next, then there's always maybe Meta Quest 2 and 3, which you can play Game Pass on already. But, they got to figure out something in the long term if they're going to have some of these smaller games pay for the bigger games that they're already over budget on a lot of stuff, especially from the leaked documents we saw from Insomniac. But I figure if PlayStation comes to their senses as far as revenue in the modern gaming space, I think we'll probably see this at some point on Xbox. I think we'll see, things like Helldivers 2 on Xbox, but, if they don't hurry up with that, it stands to, I wouldn't say die, but like a lot of those games may not, especially Helldivers, may not do much better for too much longer. I mean, look at Foam Stars, which didn't even come to PC, and you see how that ended up. And we got Concord, which at least is coming to PC, and I don't know if the PlayStation base is going to really support that. Like Lawbreakers didn't do well over there, so I don't see why Concord would. I could be wrong. I know a lot of Destiny fans like some of the gameplay aspects that they saw of it, but when they finally get into it, and if it's not like Destiny and they just go back to playing Destiny, yeah, that's a DOA kind of thing. But Lego. Maybe there's a behind the scenes thing where Lego does just like the MLB and says, hey, you know what? We want this everywhere. We want that extra money because they're not coughing up enough licensing dollars. So, although I guess maybe Switch might cover the big spread of that. But it'd be nice to have it over here. But there's a lot of Xbox guys I already saw saying, you keep it. We don't need it. We got enough Lego games over here. But, we'll see. Hopefully PlayStation comes to their senses in that regard, and we'll see what they do next as far as more multi-plat, titles. It seemed like they said they weren't going to do multi-plats after Herman Hulst said what he said, and then the very next state of play, with the exception of Astrobot, everything came to PC day and date. So, I don't know. Maybe their communication department is kind of going backwards while Xbox's communication department is getting better. Maybe they're like passing each other on the sliding scale or something. So we'll see how it all ends up.
What's interesting is when you hear Sony talk, at least in recent years, folks. Come on, I'm not making this is not console war rhetoric. This is just read the room. There's so much double talk. And we give Xbox the smoke when they do that. When they try to double talk us, we are the first ones to be like, nope, that's straight up wrong. That's just crazy. And it's this particular statement here where again he's from Guerrilla Games. He is the narrative director at Guerrilla Games. James Weindler noted that and again I quote, that the game was meant to push the PS5 hardware and look as amazing as it possibly can be on that console, that system. Now, how do you say that if you're releasing it on a potato, which is the Switch? Like, I'm sure it's going to look really good on the Switch. It's going to run as good as the PS5. No, it's not. But it's probably going to look as good because it's a Lego game. Lego games, they just look freaking great. That's just what they do. So again, it's we're not talking about Xbox right now. We're talking about Xbox in 2025. They just don't want to piss off their fan base. They're walking on eggshells, which I just think, make your money, man. Put your games where you want to make money. How many people would buy it on Xbox? Probably quite a few people. Like, I definitely would buy it on Xbox, but I like Horizon. A lot of people don't. And I don't apologize for liking Aloy and that world. I just do. Sorry. But guys, gals, and panel, chat, everybody, we got to get into a story that kind of ruffled some feathers with people in the community. Again, no names here. So Hazardor Gaming once again who put out an incredible tweet the other day talking about the Tokyo Game Show. So I was under the impression, gentlemen, and I'm gonna go to Fuzzy on this one. I was almost, and I went looking for it. I couldn't find it. So please, but somebody, please correct me if I'm wrong. I could have sworn that Xbox has already talked about, not like making an announcement, but like kind of the conversation that they're going to be at Gamescom and there's going to be something happening at Tokyo Games. I'm almost positive I heard that. I think I even talked about it, to be honest with you, but I'm an old man, so pardon me if I don't remember. So Hazardor Gaming puts out this tweet, and it says this, Fuzzy, Tokyo Game Show 2024 exhibitors list and details were revealed. Xbox will not be present for the Tokyo Game Show online broadcast this year as per the TGS exhibitors list. PlayStation, which has missed TGS for 5 years, the last time they were there was 2019, will actually be attending, and they are listed in 2 places, one for indies and one as a regular contributor. So, I responded, and I thought I was pretty fair. I wasn't being pointed or, doom and glooming Xbox. There's nothing doom and gloom. Xbox is in the greatest place it could possibly be, where it's in probably the brand's history. Like, there is no doubt you cannot say today, July 5th, that Xbox is not like tip of the spear. Like, they have done so much. I mean, again, this the beginning of the year. There were some troubles, some tribulations, right? Some studio closures, some layoffs, things that just did not, look great for Xbox and Microsoft as a company. But you gotta admit, Game Pass has been killing it. That June showcase was redonkulous. We're supposed to get as big, potentially, just as big for Gamescom. So the Tokyo Game Show thing, this is what I said, folks. And it wasn't really responding so much for the Hazardor. It was just a general consensus opinion. And I simply said, I understand that their presence in the Japanese region isn't big. Skipping TGS 2024 after closing Tango Gameworks is a huge mistake, in my opinion. I hope they reconsider. Thanks for the post. Now, obviously, he didn't respond to me because he's very busy. And again, he doesn't have to. I just wasn't really asking for his response. It just was a general consensus. Hey, I hope that they don't skip it because obviously, Fuzzy, they had the closure of Tango, which still stinks. And I'm still going to give them the smoke for it. I understand the circumstances. I know that some stuff has come out where, a lot of talent left. They didn't know if the talent that was there could reproduce what they did with Tokyo Ghostwire Tokyo and potentially, a sequel to Hi-Fi Rush. So they were like, yeah, they're all the way across the world. We're just going to close the studio because we have no confidence. Listen, I'm not a business owner. I don't own these companies. What happened is what happened. But I'm still going to give them the smoke for it because Hi-Fi Rush is an amazing game. With all of that said, though, Fuzzy, we don't know if they're going to skip it because, to be fair to Xbox, they didn't announce they were going to Tokyo Game Show until right before, in September of 2023. That was after Gamescom. Mm-hmm. Maybe that happens now because now they're focused. What are they focused on? Well, they're focused on Gamescom. That's the one that's in August. I don't know if they're going to look that far ahead. They should as a big company. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you think skipping Tokyo Game Show is in the cards?
I mean, it's a possibility, but I have my doubts on that. Like, I think the big thing is if Xbox as a company doesn't have a presence, I think some of their partners will. We know Sega's going to be there. We know Square Enix is going to be there. And I think there are going to be announcements for Xbox, at least from those 2 parties, at a minimum. And considering how many trips that Sarah and Phil have taken to Japan, and they've had hundreds of studios that they've been working with, and I think they have 40 partnered studios where they're working on games right now. We're bound to see the fruits of that, at least 1 or 2 surprises. And I've said this even prior to the showcase, last month, that we're probably going to see at least the first couple of those games at least being announced at something like TGS more than likely. So I don't know necessarily that any Xbox first party will be there, or even that there'll be any presence from Activision Blizzard or Bethesda in any capacity per se. But I do believe there'll be some Xbox presence in the sense of their partners. Like Sega's going to probably make an announcement on a couple of things. Right around that time frame, I think, is when was it something with Mana? What's the one from Square?
The new Mana game. It's never been a Mana game on Xbox.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Secret of Mana, but that's not it.
Yeah. But it's supposed to come out around, I think, TGS time. So that's going to be announced, and it'll be in Game Pass day and date. So whether Xbox is there physically, or maybe just a couple of the executives are there, but they're not, on stage themselves for Xbox.
Visions of Mana.
Visions of Mana. Yeah. We're going to see some Xbox presence there, even if it's not Xbox or Microsoft themselves. It'll be their partner. So could they skip? Sure, but I don't think that's in the cards. Like in fact, with what's his name, Kojima making a post about it as well. He's going to be there. We all know he's working on OD. Yep. I think OD is closer than people think, closer than a Death Stranding 2 is. So we'll see if he announces both, or gives us an update on both games, or just one of the two games. But I honestly believe that there'll be some Xbox presence, even if it's not Xbox as a company. But that's just my take on it. But I do feel if they don't show at all and there's no mention at all, it would be a weird, I wouldn't say a weird shift, but it would be a bit of a shift compared to previous years. So I don't expect it at this point. I do expect some sort of Xbox talk there at least. So that's just my take.
No, I mean, it's great. It's a great point. Crispy, the reason why we're having this conversation is because the list was generated, and again, I don't even know how to pronounce this website. Gematsu? Yeah, that's what it is. Gematsu.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I want to know why I couldn't pronounce that. So, Gematsu.com is a story written by Sal Romano. It was posted July 4th, just yesterday. And that's why, of course, this whole conversation came up, Crispy, because they do have a list, and I have the list in front of me, of general exhibition area, and there is 70 companies. Everything Ubisoft Japan is there. Warframe is going to be there. Wild Assault is going to be there. SNK is going to be there. Let's see, is Capcom going to be there? Let me just see. Capcom's going to be there. Area 35, Arc System Works is going to be there. That's a notable one as well. BB Media, Black Magic Designs, another reputable developer. So they have a lot of lists. Well, Xbox is not on this list. They also have smartphone game area, which again, it's about maybe about 20 developers. Gaming hardware area has around about 30. They have a gaming lifestyle area that has about 10. Augmented reality has about 12 studios that are going to be there. Esports area has about 10, and they have Game Academy area. So they have all these different areas. The Game Academy area has about 40. So they have all of these companies being there. Xbox is not on that list. Now, again, take it with a grain of salt. Just because they're not on the list doesn't mean that they're not going. I mean, where do you kind of fall? Do you think Xbox needs to be there? Because I'll say this. Xbox needs to be at Gamescom. And they're going to be there. And they're going to be there in a big way. Why? Well, because in that region, PlayStation is beating them 4-1. Maybe even in some weeks 5-1. So they need to get out there, and they need to talk about their first party stuff. They need to show Stalker 2, which of course is a European developer. They need to show why you should be invested. Call of Duty is going to be front and center. Japan's another region where they just get crushed. Now, Sony, even themselves, they don't do fantastic there. That's dominated by mobile. It's dominated by PC. And the lead dog running the show over in Japan is the Switch. Nintendo is king. But where do you kind of fall? Do you think that that Microsoft is in a position they basically have to be there?
No, not at this point. Not after the showcase and the way they seem to be at least acting like Gamescom's going to be. You got to have, yeah. So you got to have your partner speak for you, and I feel like there's enough of those partners that have developed or put games in Game Pass that all you got to do for Xbox to have a presence there is say play day one in Game Pass.
Yeah.
And do what they did with that show. Because I'm going to tell you right now, when they did that and they were like, it wasn't, the world premieres were actual world premieres. It wasn't like, and there was gameplay involved and like the games that have already been announced. There was a lot of pointed thought process to it. And, I think Gamescom, the reason why they're going there is because they have something to show. May it be a new IP? I doubt it. Could it be an IP that was announced? Possibly, but hasn't been shown at the showcase.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be, a Gears collection? That would be great. Not going to sit on that hill, but I'm just saying it would be nice. But for this, they understand that there's really the draw for anybody in the Asian market would be having these games and these developers speak and say, oh yeah, but by the way, we're going into Game Pass day and date, or we're going into Game Pass as soon as it launches, or we're going into Game Pass at some play day one on Game Pass. That's really all they need is my point. And if they do that, I think it will intrigue people to say, okay, like value proposition. And maybe they're that, hey, Gears E-Day might have hit for some of them. Okay, maybe Fable. Maybe, hey, I never tried Forza and I've been interested in that. And you're bringing this game that I love in there. I think let the developer themselves speak for it, because it seems like it's more of an open concept. And I mean, Sony being there, that's great. I mean, that's their original headquarters. That's Sony itself. Okay, like why not be there? It's kind of funny that everybody's making a big deal about them, but they haven't been there for 5 years, and Xbox was there. So now Xbox is just like, yeah, you know what? We did some things like you said, boom, Tango and all this stuff. Maybe let's just let the developer themselves speak for it. Maybe Kojima comes out and shows even better about OD and all this other stuff. Like, there's a way to go about it to still have Xbox be prevalent, but let's say not try to, act like everybody's completely interested in it. Instead, they're interested in the game itself, and it's coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I put it this way. I know. Let me see. There was a couple of super chats in here that regarding this particular topic. Will Broke Boy Lewis drops 2 additional $2 super chats, and the first one says, "Do you think PlayStation may announce the PlayStation 5 Pro at the Tokyo Game Show?" I mean, I don't know. I mean, it logically it sounds like it would be a good spot, but they kind of abandoned Japan a bit, right? Like they got a lot of smoke from the community for kind of moving headquarters to the US, and they kind of there was like a lot of talk in the Japanese community that they feel like that Sony turned their back on them. So I don't know if that would be a spot for it, but it's certainly possible. And he says PlayStation also, and he drops an additional $2 super chat. PlayStation says they will be at China Joy 2024 at the end of the month, and that's a big one too. A lot of people don't know about China Joy. That's a really big event. So yeah, they're going to be there. They're probably going to show off Astrobot, and they're probably going to show off Horizon. Those are 2 games that would would fare both for Japanese and the Chinese audience. They like those kind of games. They're platformers, they're family, they're fun. So I think that's why they're going to be there. Makes perfect sense. Those are great. Those are great games to be there. Again, 2 games I'm buying. One I'm going to buy on a PS5, which is of course Astro, and on Switch I'm going to buy the Horizon, because I like Horizon. I'm just not buying on a PS5 because I'd rather play it on my Switch, even though it's not going to run as good or look as good. It's fine. But I mean, listen, do they need to be there? If you're asking me, I say yes. I say yes. Do they have to spend $10 million on their on a booth? I don't think they need to spend that much, but I think that if they're gonna be there, what would be really cool to see is to showcase the 200 developers that they're currently working with. Like Sarabon said a couple of years ago that they are working with 200 different Japanese developers, right? On big games, small games, indie games. It'd be really cool to see what some of those games look like. What you've been working on, who you're working with, what teams are you working with. And I think personally, even though the Game Awards might be where you see this, Kojima's game, or at least to find out exactly what it is, because I think you're right, Fuzzy. I think it's closer than people think. And that's because it's not a, big budgeted. Well, it's going to be big budgeted, but it's not going to be a game like we've seen from him in the past, where there's like this massive game. It is, if what I take and what, when he said that, like Justin Peele, that they're working with all of these horror directors, it's probably going to be an anthology type of story. It's probably going to have different characters, different timelines, different events, and at the end they all meet. At least, I mean, if you're an anthology horror fan, I am, Mr. Boom. We all both are. That's what you usually get. That makes sense, especially because, again, he said they're working with a Avengers level amount of people, which means that they have a whole bunch. You can get Del Toro in there, which is, I mean, he's worked with him before. That's probably a thing. I'd like to see, maybe they work with James Cameron, even though he doesn't really specialize in horror, but he did do Aliens, right? Like, they're like a lot of different directors they're going to work with. I'd like to see what that looks like. And I think that Tokyo Game Show would be a good spot. That'd be pretty dope. But listen, that's going to do it for today's show. Again, a little bit shorter than the normal 2-hour show because news has not been, busting at the seams. Hopefully you enjoyed the show enough to A, hit the like button on your way out, and B, of course, if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing, as we are 191 subs away from 15K, and we can get there with your help. Let's get to the outros. Start first with Fuzzy Belvedere. Sell your brand, kind sir. Where can people find your YouTube channel, which of course is the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre? What other shows you're on? And more importantly, where can people find you on social media?
Oh, just as always, want to thank you for having me on here today as well. And always love being on here with you, Boom, and as well with Crispy Bomb. Just love you guys' takes and insight on this gaming space, and just greatly appreciate everybody in the chat. Thanks for your interactions. Thanks for checking us out. Don't forget, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Greatly appreciate it. For those that want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter, now X, at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on Xbox Ultimate, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight on Fun Speculations channel. Once again, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Fun Speculation channel. And then tomorrow, Shop Podcast, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday on PTK Blam's channel. And then me and 3-Bit will be on Pixelated Echoes, 8 p.m. Sunday Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you guys there. And then right back here for Xbox Lunch Break Special, 12 noon on Monday, right here on this channel for Double Barrel Gaming. Thanks again.
And as you'd imagine, I've already started working on that on Monday's show. I got 3 topics pulled. I'm doing the artwork for the thumbnail and everything as we speak. As you know, the show is always going on, so you gotta be prepared for these things. Hopefully, we have some new news, but I think the stories I have are pretty interesting. So, of course, yes, thank you, Fuzzy. Tune in Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Xbox Lunch Break Special. Real quick before I bring in Crispy Bomb, next Friday we are doing the Christmas in July giveaway. This is a special. We've done it for a couple of years. This year is going to be a little different because we are giving prize packages away that Mrs. Boom designed and put together and had made for when we went to LA for the the E3 stuff. We had five or six packages left over that we couldn't take because there was not enough room in the luggage. So I was like, you know what? Let's take 10. We'll give 10 away, which we did, and we'll keep 5, and we'll do a special giveaway. And of course, in the last couple of weeks, she always is thinking, months in advance. She's the one that came up with the Christmas in July thing, and we're giving away these packages, which of course are going to be open to everyone. Now, if you're outside of the States, we will definitely try. But, again, just sending it regular mail is $20 per package because that's just what the box costs to send. And we pay out of pocket for that. There's no one funding us outside of the people here in the chat right now by super chats and by channel membership. So we, of course, want to continue to give back. These packages are going to contain the giveaway that we did in LA. They are going to contain, and I just got the confirmation from that blue number, Holly, and of course, Ben Kenobi, that they're sending me 5 additional Gears of War E-Day coins. So each one of these prize packages is going to get one of those coins. And to sweeten the pot, we're also giving the winners a $25 gift card to Xbox. And each one of those packages, we're not sending the codes to you. The gift card is going to be in there with the coin. And that's going to be the prize package. And when you see it, I think you're really going to dig it. Mrs. Boom outdid herself. And I love what she put together. And, of course, we're giving away 5 of those next Friday. And all you got to do to win is tune in. Now, granted, if you are a channel member, the first 3 winners are going to be picked from channel membership. And the next 2 are going to be anybody that's in the chat. And if we have something else to give away, I'm trying to think. I think we might have 6, but I'm only going to say we're giving away 5. If we give away 6, the other 3 would be anyone that's in the chat. And you don't even got to be subbed. Listen, we don't do things for subs or likes or clicks. We do it because we want to give back to this community who's been so generous with us over the years. It's like literally the least that we can do. So with that said, Crispy Bomb, sell your brand, brother. Where can people find you on social media? And what else you got going on?
Well, of course, I'm going to miss the show next week because I'm on vacation. No, I'm on vacation for once. I'll take that. At Chris Bomb on X, Chris Bomb 28, Xbox Live. You usually find me here on Breakfast with Boom. We'll see you in a couple weeks, and enjoy everything that comes with July and the warmth and the heat, and sometimes in New England, that's not the worst thing. He wants a blizzard. I already. That's why I was saying that. So. Love y'all. We'll see you later.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. And again, a big thank you to all of the 500 plus people that were here that watched across both YouTube and Twitter. Thank you so much for checking out the show. A big thank you to all of the super chats and the channel memberships that continue to come in to support us, to allow for us to do the big giveaways. And of course, you haven't seen anything yet. The second half of the year is going to be ridiculous. We're giving away thousands of dollars worth of prizes, and we obviously couldn't do that without you fine folks, so thank you again. And, of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, hopefully one day be important to you, and that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids, and he would say this: Craig, treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son, I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and have a great weekend. Be safe, and we'll see you on the next episode of Breakfast with Boom.